What's up, y'all? We are back to discuss this latest episode of Ready to Love, Season 8, Episode 6. I cannot even reiterate enough times how nobody is here ready to love. But at this point, I think the show has reached that point where it's no longer authentic and kind of doesn't really make sense the way it used to. It's just a basic elimination show, which is what I like, which is why I'm still here, because I don't believe love happens this way. I mean, I feel like there have been couples that felt some type of way about each other and then somewhere down the line no longer did. That's regular life, but I feel like, the formula of producing love just doesn't work, but I'm here for the elimination. So this week starts with Tommy and the ladies in the ladies' lounge. Their task this week is to discuss their doubts. One thing I do like about the show is it gives you good questions. I guess when you're like out here caught up in, all the lust and attraction that happens when two people meet each other, once you get past all that, it's a good idea. It just kind of helps you narrow down like what are the real questions that you need to be asking these people, and what are the important questions to you as an individual. So what are your doubts? That's a good question, and I think it's something that we all have. We just kind of have a tendency to ignore them because we're all, lusty and, horny. And so we want to get into the good stuff and skip past the doubts. So the first date was Aries and Phil. I like these two together. Phil brought flowers. This is my first time noticing because these guys been showing up to these dates empty-handed, but he seems very, very excited to see her. They have only actually spent time in a group setting or texting and talking to each other. So they have got a chance to get to know each other. And like I said, this is the first time since I've been watching this show that two people seemed excited to see each other. So um like I said, when Kat showed up, everybody was like, oh my goodness, the new girl's hot. But now that, they have got a chance to spend time with her, she's just, sorry, my glasses are dirty. She's just another girl, that they need to get to know. So back to Phil and Aries. They have a lot in common. He has a daughter. She has two sons. They've talked about, like, Aries is very clear that she's not trying to have any more children. She's 41 years old. Her boys are raised up, and she's not interested in, like, pushing out no more babies. I'm not mad at that, but Phil seems to be in the same place. I think he likes the idea of family. He's not necessarily, like, these are his words, he don't need a baby from scratch, but he doesn't mind the idea of having a bigger family, even if it's one that, what do they call it? A blended family. Sometimes those are the best. It's like you have something missing in your life that you didn't know was missing until you blend your families together. So, you know, there was a lot of smiling. Like I saw all his teeth smiling, eyes twinkling. This was the first connection that I saw for real, for real, for real. So we'll see. We'll see. She says, her doubts. They have to talk about the doubts, and she's a full package. She's a mother with two sons. So if you're coming like with some foolishness, she don't have time with that for that. She needs to know that she's dealing and spending her time with someone who is going to accept her and her children as the full package. And like I said, I guess it's different, like with fathers versus mother, because 9 times out of 10 the father is co-parenting with the mother, and with the mother, like, her kids are going to be there full time. So essentially he would be spending more time with her children than he would with his own children, although they're getting to that teenage years, and by the time they get to teenage years, they not really spending no time but with nobody besides their friends and in their room and stuff. But yeah, it was a good day. I felt like the energy was very much genuine. They were, like I said, happy to see each other, a lot of laughing. The hug at the end was very much respectful, but I'm guessing he can't like wait to get his hands on her, and vice versa, because once you have become very interested and attracted to someone, based on their conversation. The rest of it is the icing on the cake. Sierra goes on a date with Christopher. I still feel like Sierra ain't connected to nobody for real, for real. Um, Allegedly she's got a connection with Herbert, but I don't think Herbert is connected to nobody either. He out here still floating around, and they all got a connection with him. Um, Sierra goes out with Christopher. Christopher ain't really been doing much. Like they brought him in, and then he just kind of wiggled on out of there for the most part. They keep saying like connections were already made, but not really. So if you're not pursuing these situations, Christopher, then it is what it is. Y'all, you know what time it is. When I get in front of this daggone light, I get to yawning. Um, Sierra asked Christopher if he has any insecurities or what are his insecurities, and he said he doesn't have any. Now that right there is a big red flag. I think um everybody has insecurities. And at this age, maybe he hasn't recognized them. And if he hasn't recognized them, then maybe he should pause on trying to find love. Because if you don't know what your insecurities are, you're just gonna be mean to somebody when they trigger those things, or not necessarily mean, but it depends on the type of person you are. You will either retreat and no longer want to communicate because your feelings is hurt, and then the person doesn't even know why they hurt their feelings, but he don't have no insecurities. So he said he show up knowing he can get the job done. Anyway, and there's a lot of jobs. He owns a security company. He was a teacher. He went to doctor school, but that school was high, so he decided not to do that anymore. He did do some modeling over in Fashion Week, and I'm curious how someone as seemingly Southern and, kind of homebodied as Christopher. And I'm just saying what it seems like, because he just seems like he just a good old boy that just, really wants to, work hard and chill. Um, I wonder like what was he doing that he ended up in New York Fashion Week? And the reason why it's curious to me is because New York Fashion Week is a pretty daggone big deal, which leads me to being curious as to why he's so triggered by a god doggone Birkin bag. Now, she asked him what is his dating style, and he said he tends to pay attention to detail. And she said, in her very jokingly Sierra way, well, hell, I like Birkin bags and Chanel bags. She's a stylist. It's not surprising that she likes fashion. And him being that he's been modeling during Fashion Week, it surprises me that he would not appreciate a Birkin bag. Also, now he did know it was a $50,000 bag, and I did not hear her say she wanted him to buy her one, but that's what he said. I don't think a lot of women are out here getting Birkin bags. A Chanel bag, maybe. I'm just saying what I got out of that is she likes a nice bag. And if you're a fashion guy, well, and if she's your girl, I don't see why, you who pays such a close attention to detail wouldn't think that maybe for a special occasion, Christmas or birthdays and such, that finding her a dope bag might be something that she'd be into because you pay attention to details. Okay. But that's not what you got out of that. You got out of it somehow that the lady wanted you to buy her a Birkin, and then you had to call her out talking about she got here in an Uber, which means nothing. Maybe she figured I don't want to drive in case I have a couple few drinks, in case I need a couple few drinks listening to this date. List off his resume. Anyway, that date didn't go well. She said Birkin turned him off, and she, was a little bit like, I feel like had she been out with any other one of these guys, with the exception of maybe Marvin, because he's a weirdo. And I mean that in the nicest way. Um, yeah, I feel like, Ding, maybe we found some of his insecurities. Somehow he has an issue with, I don't know, spending money, buying gifts. Anyway, boo on that date. Next. The next date wasn't really a date. Jessica decided to pop up at Chris's job, and I'm guessing, like, I don't know how he felt about it. He acted nice and polite towards her, but I don't think they're reading each other the same way. I don't know what she sees as a connection to Chris, because he ain't Christopher. Because she is very much heavy handed. Like he over here looking for somebody that reminds him of his mama. And she's not that. She's very much bossed, and that's okay. But he's very timid. And so it just doesn't, I don't think it jives. And I don't mean timid like in a bad way. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's a soft spoken dude. I don't think he's here for all that finger snapping and stuff that they be doing over in the lounge and stuff. He's not that guy. And I can see why he would be attracted to Aries, because she has that very soft energy. You know what I'm saying? You ain't seen her get piped up not one time. She carries herself in a certain type of way that I feel like he's more attracted to. I also feel like, though, she on the other side is very much strong and independent. So she needs a man in her life that's going to be able to take the load, share the load, however it is. And I feel like financially, Chris probably does quite well and shares the load, but she's not trying to be nobody's mama. She's already that. And that's what he's looking for. So I think that's what's wrong. But I think he definitely feels her type of energy. Jessica needs somebody that's I mean, unless she wants a man and she could walk him around and tell him what to do, because she definitely walked him around that whole hold down thing when he had to leave. That was confusing, but maybe that's just now she's showing up at the man's job, like, he I don't think he's just that into her, at the whole improv thing. I just think their energy is different. It's not wrong or right, it's just different energy. And because he's soft spoken, maybe that's how it is. Because he's soft spoken, people might mistake that as timid because I just said it, but I don't think that's it. I just think he has a more softer energy, and all of that energy that she's given, he's not necessarily a fan of. And I don't see anybody, with the exception of Lee. And I don't know why, because Lee's energy is very much like low key, and but she also doesn't like give you that she's gonna be somebody's mama either. She's quite a sexy lady. Um, what are their doubts? I think she was supposed to be telling him her doubts, but he told her his. And what he said was he likes her straight response, but he wants a softer tone. And I thought, how rude for him to tell her that she should speak or behave in a softer tone. I don't think she should behave in a softer tone. I think she should keep her tone and find somebody different because they don't mesh. But I thought that was funny. I mean, he like all that snapping and neck popping and stuff. He is not here for that. So maybe no. And she said she needs somebody to be consistent, and he said you too. So they're not even actively pursuing each other, which, like I said before, they're not, he ain't feeling her like that. I don't think she's feeling him like that either. They're just trying to stay on the show. That's why it'd be weird, because of all people on there, that's not a match. And I think he's probably genuinely looking for one. Um, Marvin and Kat go on a date, I guess. I mean, I guess Kat's just doing whatever at this point. I don't know who she actually likes. Um, or who actually likes her. I mean, because at this point, I think the guys think she's fine because she is, but I don't know that they're connecting. Like, and again, she might not be here for that either. Like, it's a small group. You can go, no, nobody really. Um, Barbara said they've been talking on the phone, or no, Kat said that they have been talking on the phone. And she said he into some things that she just not into. I could imagine. I haven't heard this man say anything other than, sexually deviant behavior. And it's fine, but what else do you have? Like all you talk about is, and or at least all they're showing. And maybe if you didn't just talk about that every single time, they wouldn't show it every single time. All we know of you is you like to, worship the booty and do something with orgasms that sounds like you're not even going to like having an orgasm after he's done. Um, anyway, she wants to know if he could be monogamous. Now, he has talked about having a poly lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle. So I don't know, like, why he would even consider saying that he wants to be monogamous unless he's never been poly and he's just throwing that shit out there. I don't know. He then said he was at home making a Power Ranger costume. So now he's a cos kid. And, I know, I raised a cos kid. I also know that the people that are in his network are all people that are into that kind of thing. And I don't think that's Lee. I don't think she over there going to comic book conventions. So, and I think even my kid at some point grew up and did not feel like that's where he wanted to be, you know, as, a person dressed up like a character. Oh, shoot. He's a Power Ranger child. He's you know, which I feel like that goes together. Like, the cars and you know, the lifestyle that he's into. Nobody here is trying to do that. She says she not. So I don't even know why we keep going on a date with Marvin and Lee because she pretty much said that before. Can we get a date with Quentin and Lee before this is over? Because they keep talking about how they like each other. They had that cute little date in the beginning, and then we didn't see it anymore, and he still got her like in his top that we know of. Kat and Quentin, I don't know what they got going on because I don't think they're into each other. I think she just getting a kick out of getting this girl Janelle all worked up, who really don't see it for Quentin that much either. But we must win. We must win. We must win. And if love ain't the prize, I don't know what is. But yeah. So what else did she say? You know what I noticed? Everybody was in that little coffee shop dressed really warm, and he was sitting there with his shirt all open and some shorts on. And where are they? In Dallas? It gets cold there. What time of year is it? He just be a little off. I don't know what he was getting out of that conversation. She was pretty much like, the same thing, like, I hear what you're saying. I like Pink Power Ranger. She go along with the conversation, but that's nothing that she's trying to do in her real life, I don't think. And he walked away from that conversation talking about, man, I might walk away from this with a girlfriend. Well, it ain't gonna be her. So I don't know which girlfriend he talking about, but I don't know where he got that from. He's a little delusional, I think. Kira and Herbert have a date at her house. It was very stupid. She be walking around asking people, "Are you attracted to me? And what do you think of me?" And this, she's a dingbat. Sorry, but she is. And she wanted to do a TikTok dance, and Herbert went along. Cause why? Cause I don't know. Cause he had a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader bent over in front of him. He might as well. He's here now. I'm not even mad at it. He was trying to have a genuine conversation with her. She was asking, as the same interview questions that they're asking each other. And he said again, it's hard dating multiple people. I think, yeah, it is weird. So now you got to date all these people within the same circle and then go back and deliberate and see who's talking to who. And it's all very weird. He's, I got having one or two connections. And she was like, well, how many connections do you have? So for him, he says he has three connections. Who would that be? Janelle is a connection. He said Lee is a connection, and I'm guessing like him and Kat have some sort of attraction to one another. She asked if she wanted the connections, and he said, yeah, no, she's not. I don't know why he would say that, but I don't know why she would ask that. Anyway, this was a waste of time. There's no connection between Herbert and Kira, but I certainly wish we would have seen Herbert and Lee, because he also said he had a connection with her. So it would have been interesting to see like what is happening with these people that say they have connections that we haven't seen. Where are we at? 6, 7? Shoot, not 7. Let me go back. Where are we at? 6. So I don't know. Does everybody fall in love next week? What's gonna happen when they get to that part and they're all like, I choose me. Nobody choose each other. Now that'll be an interesting reunion. We'd just be at the reunion like, so what happened? Janelle and Quentin have a date. I didn't know Quentin wore glasses. So I mean, that threw me off. It was like he showed up as a character. It was just a little different. And Janelle, well, she showed up as Janelle. They do a lot of flirting and googly eyes type situation, but I don't know what they really have in common. He's 34. I think she's 41. I don't think that's the problem. I just don't know what it is they're connecting on. And I think it's weird that they would be supposedly connected and talking all this time because, whether these people are going on dates, they're definitely talking and communicating with each other, like texting and calling and that kind of thing. So I find it odd that the conversation about children just came up and he's just now finding out that she's adopted because, I don't know. I just feel like based on the circumstances on what have y'all been talking about? Like I want somebody to pick me up and, sit on my lap and that all of that silly shit that they be doing. That's the conversation she has with him. That's the kind of conversation she had with Herbert that we have seen. So she says something like, because I bring up Herbert because that's her other connection. She said Herbert is ready to be a husband. Is he? Because he seems to be the only one with all these different connections. I don't know whose husband he's trying to be, but I think Herbert is practicing how to date. And that's fine too. That's how you find love, I suppose. But he has three connections. So I don't know that he's ready to be anybody's um, husband. Quentin asked Janelle if her adoptive parents were black or white. Now they're all caught up on this. They got a whole lot of white black culture stuff going on in this particular season. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what they're talking about because I feel like that's a conversation. Since you're so connected, why is it? What is it that has you so connected? Like I feel like even with him and Lee, she's a fitness trainer and so is he. I feel like they can connect on work and the type of clients and they can bond on something that they both have a passion for. But I don't know what Janelle and Quentin is talking about because I can guarantee you, if you've been having these deep conversations, that probably would come up probably one or two after one or two. That's just something that I feel like you share with somebody that you're trying to get to know, especially when hell you talk about having kids. Did you? Anyway, Maria and Kira. Why? Stop doing this. They don't like each other. She's too white. He's into black culture. He's a health activist. And Both of them are full of shit and they honestly don't like each other. So, I'm not sure why we went on a date with them because they don't like each other. And I feel like all we did this episode is go out on dates with people that don't actually like each other, which makes no sense whatsoever. Marvin and Lee, they went on a date. Why? Because I guess production told them so. Lee said whatever he doing, she don't want none of it. And so there's that. Should we have another date just one more time for these ladies can let him know that they're not dressing up in costumes. They're not Polly in any of those other things that he is. And they are not going to let you take them to the dungeon. And that's fine too. It just ain't none of these people. Maybe you should, try to find love over at the convention where the girls like to, dress up like that and y'all have fun and do weird shit. Um, so we're back at the ladies' lounge. Janelle is over there piped up. I did not know that her and Jessica were besties, but based on the type of energy that Chris said Jessica was giving off, I guess they are like both those type of, you know, extra air snatching girls. They got into a little tiff with Kira because Kira was over there doing what Kira does. I feel like Kira is irritating, but I don't feel like nobody needs to cuss her out for behaving the way she does. She's just, you know, she is a product of her environment. And so I personally would not vibe with her, but I don't feel like it's necessary to be arguing with her either because I think it's really sad, honestly, how lost she is. Poor thing. Poor thing. And she's a pretty girl, but somebody did her dirty. Somebody along the way didn't give her what she needed to appreciate her own culture. And yeah. And yeah, and I'm gonna leave it that I'm gonna leave it at that. But it doesn't mean you need to be hollering and snapping at her like Janelle hates this girl for being stupid. And I think that's stupid. But Janelle is a cranky little lady. She's cranky and angry and angsty, and she's got her cranky friend over here, Jessica. So they wanted to get it out. Jessica's over here making fun of I won't say making fun. She was doing an impersonation of Chris, and it was spot on, and it was actually very entertaining. But I think that's part of his charm, though. Like his southern accent and stuff is the part of the attraction. Is the other stuff like the pretending like you're not insecure about things, and yeah, the listing of your resume, which is why he ended up in the bottom. So who's in the bottom? Marvin, nobody wants to go. Christopher, nobody cares about your jobs. And Monier. So Monier is a placeholder. And right now, who's holding him in place? Jessica needs him because Chris really don't like her that much. Kira needs him, but she really don't like him at all. So, but I think for all intent and purposes, I don't know. Isn't it funny? Like the activist, the health conscious activist ends up, back and forth in it with the I'm closest thing here to being white, except for my brown skin. He's on the bottom. Two of them gotta go. So what's gonna happen is, Chris, you gotta go. Why? Because nobody bonded here with you. It is what it is. I think some people are not good at dating, and he is probably not. I think he's gonna have to meet someone a little more organically, someone who finds his accent very charming. And I'm sure that charming accent gets him a long way, but he also needs to he needs to figure out what his insecurities are. And that way he can like let his guard down a little bit. Just a little bit. Monier lives to see another week. And he'll sit up there next week with his hands on his belly, deliberating over who's his bottom chick. But he like ride hard for Jessica. They're gonna have to ride hard for each other because I think Chris is no longer interested. So who is it? Next week, the ladies get an elimination, and I feel like who's left? Kira gonna go. And who's gonna be in the bottom with Kira? No, let's do the math here. If everything hasn't changed by then, Herbert and Quentin like Lee. Phil likes Eris. Quentin and Herbert like Janelle. All of them like Kat. But I don't think she's connected with anybody. But because they all like her, I don't think she'll be in the bottom. So next week, I feel like the bottom will be Kira and Sierra. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens, y'all. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, that's all, folks. Bye, y'all.